Okay, hello, this is Wmpyr. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Hope you guys are having a good one. And this is one of my Christmas presents I got this year. Professor Bram Frank sent me his ebook, as you can see right here. Um, it is 377 pages, so it is a massive ebook. And I want to go through some of it with you guys to share some of this stuff right here because I know that's what he would want. So let me go ahead. So big thank you to Professor Bram Frank, and let's get started. So right here, this is a book about his knives. I think this is a good place to start right here. The commandments of steel. So these are the rules that he preaches, and it's just a simple. It's simple, but I think it's actually deep. You think about like steel cuts flesh, and you might go, "Duh," but notice he said cuts. He didn't say stab. So I think there's meaning there, and this is something that um, really it's important to take to heart because even experts, you see them breaking this rule, showing techniques and stuff that totally break this rule. Therefore, I think, as simple as this is, you want to always keep it in mind, and I believe that's why the professor shows that. Okay, so here goes into his background. And yeah, he was a first generation, not just a first generation student, but a personal student of Professor Remy Presas. And that right there, my teacher's teacher was Professor Remy Presas. So my teacher was also a first generation student of Professor Remy Presas. So I guess that makes me second generation, but please take that with a grain of salt because it's not like I'm affiliated or I have official documents or anything like that. So, just want to make that clear. But yeah, technically, I am the same lineage here, and that's why I feel like Professor Bram Frank's stuff makes a ton of sense to me. It just with the stuff that I've been training, it just it blends, it goes. Why? Because it's the same, really. The origins are the same. um, so here you can see, I believe this is from Black Belt magazine, weapon instructor of the year. And here you could see his connection to Israeli combatives. So that's your military, your police force, that kind of stuff. He's also had this kind of uh, connection with the U.S. military and police, but also around the world, not just Israeli, but like Russian, from my understanding as well. And so this talked about his martial arts background. Now, this is where it's at for him, where he is a knife designer, where he's making, producing knives. Um, and it all started with this. He started with this slip joint pocket knife, and then he went into this the Black Cat, which I believe he told me is a German made. My understanding. So this is a very very young Bram Frank, Professor Bram Frank, walking around kind of like, I think in his teenage years. Imagine the movie like The Warrior, Warriors. Remember that movie where they showed a whole bunch of crazy gangs up in the New York Manhattan back in, what was it, an 80s film, 70s film, something like that. Okay, so that's what I imagine that he was. That was the era. So he was walking around like that. And didn't want to mess with him because he would He would cut you like those guys, no nonsense, tough guys, like a gang, right? But here he was. He's always had this interest with historical European, knights in armor, swords, and all that kind of stuff. Boom. There you go. All these, these books are so fun to look at, right? And this is what got him into Filipino martial arts. And then through that, from Filipino martial arts, I think, so it's very interesting because with Filipino martial arts, you're getting a link to this because the Spanish conquistadors came in, and so you're getting a direct tie, espada y daga. So he's learning this stuff, but then there's also that because it's Filipino martial arts, you're getting an Asian martial arts perspective in there as well. So he was able to go into martial arts, not just let me just learn, swords and armor and that kind of stuff, which I think at the time HEMA didn't even exist. So it's like, where would he have even, where would you learn this kind of stuff? I don't know at that time, back in the day. Um, yeah. So he got very, very lucky in that sense, learning Filipino martial arts, in my opinion. And I think he says the same thing. And that took him to this, where he's making all kinds of awesome knives, designing knives. And it's not just a bunch of random knives. There is a whole history, and they're linked. They are a family of knives, and they're called the Gunting family of knives. Um, Here you go. Yeah. So he calls it the Gunting family of knives. And they start with this, it all started with this guy, the escalator. So this was the first, and then this was number two. And to me, this is like where he reached kind of like the big time. If I were to make a comparison to Bruce Lee, this was this is for him like when Bruce Lee made Enter the Dragon. Finally, Hollywood, boom, big production. And so this is the Gunting knife that he made through Spyderco, right? And it's unfortunate what happened there. So maybe I'll get in a little bit more into that, but it's very unfortunate. And so after that, like after you hit the success and then it's all gone, what do you do? You know, are you done and do you just fade away? No, not this guy. Not this guy, because he became reborn through Cherisker Messer, this company, which no longer exists today, is my understanding. But through this company, he produced this. And so he came back with fire. He came back with, this. To me, this is his passion right here, where he came back stronger, better than ever. Because after Spyderco, which, it seems like that's the pinnacle for him, but it was brutally shut down. And then he came back. So this exact knife set is what I ordered. So this was my first. Of course, I knew about the Spyderco Gunting, but when I saw this really is what made me go. And I didn't know the backstory. I didn't know that he had a falling out with Spyderco and all that. But when I saw this, I don't know. I felt something. I felt something extra special. So this is when I took the jump and decided to own my first, you know, Professor Brian Frank knife. And I asked my parents, I said, hey, can I get my Christmas present? and they said, yeah. And so I got this. And yeah, really, I was blown away, yeah, for me, it was a treasure, absolute treasure. And since then, boom, once again, you see a bunch of different knives that he had designed. You can see he just kept going and going, you know, boom. Oh, and this one right here, the sangat, which is over there in the Philippines, they don't have a karambit, or that term doesn't exist. Karambit is an Indonesian word for silat. It's a silat, you know, the martial arts style of silat famously uses the karambit. They also use other weapons, but that's one of their famous ones, right? In the Philippines, they don't have. It's not the karambit. So the Philippines, I would say, is the bali song, the butterfly knife. But because that became like illegal all over the world, it's kind of like they lost their own knife. Anyway, in the Philippines, the closest thing they had to a karambit was a sangat. And so Professor Bram Frank made his own version, which he called Disangat. It's a little bit play on the name. And why is it called the Disangat instead of the Sangat is because he dedicated it to his friend, um, Sangat master Edessa Ramos. So he combined her name Edessa and Sangat and came up with Disangat. So that's an honor for him, for her, is what the professor did. And I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. I don't want her to get in trouble or anything, but from what the professor told me about her is that, she's teaching basically elite special ops type military to battle, like anti-terrorists, battle terrorists and stuff. So, I mean, it's actually this knife, the fixed blade, is actually being used um, to do that. It's actually being used by elite special ops groups. It's wild, and that knife right there, wow, to me that's like a holy grail. That is, and because the Professor Bram Frank was nice enough to say, hey, look, I could, you. I could ask her, see if she has any left, and you could buy one directly from her. And I mean, that was super nice, but it was just out of my budget. So instead, I ended up getting directly from the professor, the folding knife, the LLC Desangat, and it came with a trainer. And then, of course, he's super nice, so he threw in a bunch of other um, stuff in that package, other knives for me. Super sweet, and he's always shown me that kind of support throughout the years. So I am very, very grateful for his generosity, But anyway, yeah, I'm very happy to have purchased the LLC version of the Desangat. But man, the fixed blade version, look at how awesome that looks. Damn, that would be great to have as, for anti-home invasion. Something just, yeah. Whoo wee. Okay, so this right here is the Tusak, another one of my, I'd say in the top three like wants of his designs. I like more like the non-conventional. So the Tusak, originally designed for, I believe, women, and so it's all much more compact. And the tip right there is like you could use it to clean your nails and stuff. So it's a different kind of blade. But yeah, I really like how small it is. This one's like way small, and really like that. Here he has, this is the Abanico, which now his latest folding knife is this. It's a folding knife version of this. But this was originally by the Ontario Knife Company, which they are famous for making military grade knives. This is, as you can see, it looks freaking. Look at how powerful this thing looks. I mean, it looks brutal. Yeah, this definitely is a military knife. Yeah, you'd want something like that out in the field for sure. And this is from Mantis. Mantis knives. I have the mini. I really like it. And look, for those of you that really like the Spyderco version, but it's hard to come by, the budget is way out of your league. I'd recommend this guy right here. Why? Because yes, quality may not be the same because Spyderco has amazing quality. Um, but if you want one that's more straight shape, and the blade shape, I really, really like the blade shape on this. Um, because the LLC knives, don't get me wrong, I super like, but it has the pistol shape handle grip, which to me, that's the selling point, really. I really like that pistol shape. But for those of you that are looking for a more straight, then this is it. You know, this is a this is a good one. So here he back to the fixed blades, the submarine. Yeah, I remember seeing that. I think that's from Linton Knives, if I'm not mistaken. And then he has a freaking espada up there based off of, the Spanish sword. Yeah, and then this is the Rando model right here. And so why is the Rando model important here? First of all, Professor Bram Frank is he knows the Rando family, so that was pretty wild to think about. But the significance here is for me there was a movie called Exposure, also called Grande Arte, A High Art is another name, starring Peter Coyote. I saw it in the early 90s on Cinemax, and it blew me away. And it was perfect because I was training in Filipino martial arts at the time. And I was like, even though the movie doesn't say it's Filipino martial arts, I was like, this is what I do. I mean, this is it right here. I mean, it wasn't exactly what I did, but I was like, this is when I go to knife, I imagine this is it. So when I saw that movie, it was big, huge for me, right? Um, if you ask Professor Bram Frank, what's the best knife movie, he'd probably say it's that Exposure. Okay. Um, and it's a really good one. And the only reason why I'm recommending the Hunted instead of Exposure is because for me the Hunted is just it's easier for people to find. The one with Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro. So if you want to know what Filipino martial arts is about, I recommend the Hunted just because it's easier to find. Exposure is amazing movie, amazing. The only problem with it, like I said, it's hard to find, and it doesn't come out and really say that it's a FMA. I had to learn from the professor directly, where he told me, "Oh, it's choreographed by a FMA guy." So yeah, it's FMA. So I up until then I didn't even know that. I thought it was an art called perfor and sever. Um, Persev is perforate and sever. Persev is what it was called in the movie. So I was just like, oh man, but it's similar to FMA. But now understanding that it really was FMA is what you're seeing on screen. And anyway, in that movie, the Randall knife is mentioned, and it's one of the knives there that he could have purchased you know for his combat skills. And so that to me is the connection right there, and seeing that the professor is also a big fan of the Randall knives is awesome. And here he is designing his own version. So yeah, I thought that was super cool. And then he's also, went into Bali song design. So that's cool if we ever get to see it, you know, um, being published, right? Being produced to where we could purchase this thing. It's, yeah, how cool is that? So let me go into this is his neck knife, and this is another one in my top three. I don't know. I like the smaller knives. I like the smaller knives. This is super cool to me. A neck knife version. Here is the mantis snaggletooth, and you can see that he talks about how it was the megalodon shark that it's based off of the tooth. How cool is that? I think it's a super underrated. The mantis knives, the Professor Bram Frank's mantis knife, and then also this one, super underrated without a doubt. And here is with Dr. Louis Crudo's snag knife. Both of them have been very supportive of my YouTube channel and kind enough to send me their knives for me to review for you guys and for me to study. They sent me tons of material to study. I've talked to, video chatted, phone call, and all this, and just trying to impart to me so I really understand what the hell is up, and I'm a big fan of tactical knives, but not just tactical knives designed by martial arts experts. That is really really it for me. And so, it's yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't hear from Dr. Crudo anymore. Way many years ago, way back many years ago, he sent me an email saying, "Hey, send me an email. I got something I got to tell you." And so I was like, "Oh, is he okay? What's up?" And so I shot him an email just like he told me to do. And I said, hello, and, you told me to do this. So, I hope you're okay. What's going on? He never wrote me back. So I don't know. I don't know what's up, and I haven't talked to him since, just, yeah, I mean, I consider both of them like my teachers. So, I don't bug. I try not to bug them, Anyway, I am grateful for the time that they spent with me. Is all I can say. So, but yeah, there's a connection here between them. It's too bad they had a falling out, but that's really. I'm not here to take sides. That's not none of my business, so to speak. So, okay. So then you can see other people that have been influenced by Professor Bram Frank's knife design. He's showing here. And yeah, this is one that I was surprised that I didn't even know. This guy, I used to drool at these knives. Yeah, these were amazing karambits. I don't know if he still makes them anymore, but he used to just make all kinds of different karambits. And of course the CRKT knife right here. Yeah, the Desert Cruiser. I remember this one. And I like the CRKT Special Forces, the full crossguard knives, and you can see the similarities with the Professor Bram Franks because they can do the kinetic opening. And here you go. Oh, seeing Warren Thomas's knives here mentioned. This is there's another guy. I used to just drool at his knives. Yeah, they were way out of my budget, and it's just something that I knew I'd only be able to drool at. And just admire from a distance, like a museum piece. Knives are amazing designs. So let's go into. Oh yeah, this is where he introduced the magnum size. So yeah, my katana LLC knife is magnum size, and man, it's hard to tell just from the pictures how big these things are. I mean, compared to the standard, it is a beast. It really is. And then this is Professor Bram Frank going into his patent on his knives, and then he also goes into the lock, you know, yeah, and he talks about the difference between the compression lock and the puzzle lock, which I believe is that's a very important. Is it? Let's see if I could find. This is it. This is the main difference. So no, this is not it. Oh yeah. This is it. My bad. Yeah. So even if you're not like an expert with knife design, which I'm definitely not, but I think just looking at this, you could even a novice would understand. Oh, I get the difference here. I can see the puzzle lock is much stronger of a design. I think that's a no-brainer just looking at this. So yeah, here, let's go into. It's going into all that. This next part is that's right. So as far as training knives go, he was the guy that really put his efforts here into the training knife, saying you need to get a proper training type knife where it actually resembles the weapon. And furthermore, as far as like folding knives go, he was one of the first, if not the first, at least to be producing training knives that are accurate to the life blade. So that's why he invented the NBC program, because he did that for Spyderco. You can see the Endura trainer right here. And so this was him doing also with other training knives. And I mean, from a martial arts point of view, this is kind of a no-brainer. Like in Japan with the kendo stick, they had the wooden swords, they had the bamboo swords. It's just a no-brainer. So Professor Bram Frank, coming from a martial arts background, it was probably like a no duh. It was a duh statement. And so he was like, we need to do this for the tactical knife community. So yeah, so that's what he was doing. And so the top right picture, I remember getting that pair, the trainer and then the life blade. And boy, yeah, I still remember that Persian from Churraskur Messer. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Um, and here is Professor Bram Frank with Professor Remy Presas. I did actually meet Professor Remy Presas one time when he came to do a seminar down in the valley. He was there with my instructor, and I did get to meet him. I didn't take the seminar, but I did buy sticks from him. and Professor Bram Frank was saying that at the time, the sticks that I bought were probably sticks that he made at that time. So that's pretty wild. That is wild. Yeah. I didn't take the seminar, but my buddy took the seminar, and I remember asking him, "Bro, show me everything. Well, what did you learn, man? Please show me." and he wanted to get to practice, so he was more than happy to show me. Here we go back to the escalator, and here we go. This is the Spyderco Gunting. I mean, yeah, it's a great looking knife, great looking design. So this is what he has today. You can see all the work. There's tons and tons and tons of work that he's been putting in. But today he has the same handle, different blade shapes that you could choose from, And honestly, he has more than this right now. There's more blade shapes that you could choose from when you go to his website, cs-sc.com. So Common Sense Street Combat. Wait, Common Sense Self Defense? So cs-sd.com. Yeah. So when you go there, you can see that there's different blade shapes that you could choose from. And yeah, right here at this time, this is what he had. And honestly, I could tell you that I don't think any of these is a wrong choice. There's no wrong choice. It's just, what do you want? I've had the Persian. I still have the katana to this day. The spear point is, I remember Professor Brian Frank telling me that was his favorite. And the spear point, when I had it, that was my favorite too. Gosh, that's a so if I had to recommend one, I'd recommend the spear point. The Persian, of course, is amazing, and the tanto in the very top. So let me go in order. So from the very top is the tanto. The second one is the Persian. Third is the spear point. Fourth is katana, and fifth is, that's the bowie, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, like I said, all of them, I don't think there's a wrong choice. If I had to recommend one, it would be the spear point, without a doubt. Spear point. The one that stuck with me, the one that I have right now, is the katana. Because like, unfortunately, in the past, my stuff got stolen, and that's all my fault. And from there, I learned that, look, rather than me holding on to this stuff and then it gets stolen again, why not pass it to people that I care about, or people that I know that can really appreciate it. So pass it along. And so that's why I only have the katana now. I have the katana and I have the desangat, and I also have the fixed blade and the crimp. But I passed along the um, yeah, I passed along the crimped standard size. I also passed along um, another one. So I mean, you just pass them along, so people can, so other people get a chance, get a chance to see how amazing these knives are. So that's what I've been trying to do now, and share the information with you guys. So that's why I'm making this video here. So yeah, let's go into, yeah, that's the katana right there. Yeah, whoo wee, these are magnificent four right here. Can't go wrong. Um, yeah, the Bowie blade is missing here, but that's a good one too. Really, yeah, yeah, that's a really awesome one too. And back to the mantis knives. Yeah, like once again, if you're looking a little bit more closer to the original Spyderco gunting, just in shape, then here we go. Uh, yeah, so you can kind of see the difference in the handle curvature. Maybe it looks a little subtle here, so you can't tell, but when I actually put them side by side, it's quite a bit of a difference how much the handle bends there. But like I said, I like the pistol grip. I really do. Not to say that I don't like a more straight grip. So it's just preference. I mean, really, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there. And here we have the Desangat, which I'm happy to say I have the more newer version. Um, and so now I think we start going into a little bit more technical stuff that Professor Bram Frank talks about in his martial arts um, in his martial arts style that he calls modular. This is his style, which is it's based off um, of course the Filipino martial arts, his modern Arnis, but he also had cross trained in other styles. Like in this book, it mentions he cross trained in Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do, and Karate. I believe were the three that he mentioned. But yeah, here let me show you the once again. Look at that! Wow, don't those look amazing? Yeah, those are like custom. Here we go. Yeah, so my Desangat is in the camo, digital camo handle, which I like. I also like that. It's not red because red is for training. Training knives are red, so this is more like a what do you like a lavender? And I like the desert tan color too. And blue is always going to be crimped. The working model self defense tool, but not a live blade. So here, yeah, yeah, I remember this is when the Magnum came out back in the day. And then yeah, Abanico Beast. It's for the Spyderco Gunting. And sorry, I'm scrolling down. Like I said, this is 377 pages, so it's a lot. So I'm scrolling down. Here we go. Oh, is this the random model? I think so. Yeah, Linton knives. Yeah, I remember Linton knives. They produce knives like I think off of dinosaur names, which I liked. Yeah, like the T Rex and stuff. Um, Here we go. You can see tons and tons of. Okay, so now we're going into the training part, right? Um, so this is the last part that I want to talk about, and so right here, the first two are impact. Number three is disengaged entry. You could look at the techniques, whatever. To me, yes, there is some important aspect here, but really, it's more so about what is he talking about. What he's talking about here, to me, at least from my point of view, this is if you look at the UFC, MMA, that's what this is right here. Impact is the opponent's punching you or kicking you or coming at you with a lead pipe, whatever, but they're attacking you with some kind of striking implement. They're striking at you, right? So that you see that in the UFC. And then number two is you're doing it back to them. So that's an exchange. You see that in the UFC. And then number three, a disengagement entry. From my understanding, I could be wrong, but to me, this is like a double leg takedown. So you're getting in close, but you're doing it from while you're disengaged, right? From from distance. So I could be misunderstanding that, but to me, Professor Brian Frank just broke it down to something so simple that you're going to see this in nature, you're going to see this in the UFC, in sport, on the street, anywhere. This happens. Period. Is what I think he's saying, and therefore you want to have at least basic answers to each one of these scenarios. Or at least you like in the disengagement entry, you doing that, you entering in, how are you going to enter in safely, kind of thing, right? So he's just covering that. That being said, I don't think this is the professor's area of expertise. He knows this can happen. He's actually told me stories, real life stories, of where he's like had to do stuff and it falls into this category. but I don't think this is his specialty. And why do I say that? I think his specialty is here. This is where the lock flow occurs in traditional Filipino martial arts. They're teaching you lock flow. It's here. It's the clinch, in other words. The clinch is stand-up grappling. So for MMA fighters looking at this and they're going, what, trapping? Trapping doesn't work. And they're thinking like that. Just think of this as it's the clinch. Okay. So when you're doing your tie-ups, underhooks, overhooks, that's what this is. The clinch. And this is to me where the professor shines, because he's said to me, if I can touch you, I can cut you. And that's this distance, not from further away where now you got to be accurate. It's like being able to do darts, like you're throwing darts and you're trying to be accurate and hit the center. That's not what this is here. This is, like he said, it's touch equals cuts. Okay. So this part and then this next part is like if they grab you. This is more like what Captain Fairbairn would show. Like if the guy's choking you or got you in a bear hug or got you in a headlock, what do you do? Type of more military, but still, it's still the clinch. Okay, so to me, this once again, this is just a continuation of that, but that's his specialty. All right. So now going in is this. So the triangle that I mentioned to you guys before, I broke it down and showed you how it links with the Heaven Six. The professor explained it to me before. Is he said that, and this was interesting because I came to the conclusion that the Heaven Six is basically just open or close. Okay, so there's a million different variations of the Heaven Six, but at the end of the day, it's about opening and closing your arms. Open, close, open, close. That's what it consists of. Okay, so when you get the angles of attack, where there's a million different angles of attack forms out there, at the end of the day, it's a triangle, is what Professor Bram Frank is saying, I believe. Okay, and that's what I'm getting out of this. And like if you look at that middle right photo, it's a bunch of triangles. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 triangles put together. Okay, so it's made up of triangles. The next one right here, there's also horizontal and vertical. At the end of the day, you go top to bottom, bottom to top, and then left, right, right, left. That's really the only amounts of engagements. From there, you can create diagonals, but really that's what he's showing right there, in my opinion. And then next is from the lock flow, it comes down to finger locks. And me personally, I've told you guys that in challenge matches, I've actually used the finger locks a very few times, but I've used it to great success. So I'm all about finger locks. My teacher was a finger lock guy, and obviously Professor Remy Presas was a finger lock guy, and then you see Professor Bram Frank is a finger lock guy. He's doing the finger locks with the LLC knives. So I feel like finger locks is where it's at, to put it simply. So there you go. Once again, this shows that this stuff where he's talking about, if I can touch you, I can cut you. That's the zone that he's interested in. That's his main area. Not to say that he doesn't recognize further away, medium range and long range and further, those are further away. Not to say that he doesn't recognize that. This is definitely where he wants to focus on, is right here. The clinch, which I call close range. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much it. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and happy holidays, you all.